So in this video, I'm going to talk about simplifying rational expressions with the -1 trick. So it's kind of hard to describe this, but basically like the multiplicative property of -1, so where you factor -1 out of a factor to cancel out a term. I'm going to show that 4 times in these examples. So I'm assuming that you are familiar with the idea and you just want to see a few more examples. So let's just jump right into this. So for the first one, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to factor out a 5 on the top. So it's going to be 5 times x minus 3, and then in the denominator I have 3 minus x. So this is exactly the situation that I'm talking about where we need to factor out -1. So x minus 3 and 3 minus x, these are not the same things, right? But what I could do is I could factor out -1 from either the top or the bottom. So I'm going to do that. Let's do that to the bottom. So I'm going to factor out -1. And when I do that, that allows me to flip the order of the expression. And okay, so now I can cancel out x minus 3. So this becomes 5 over -1. So this is just going to equal -5. Okay, so let's keep going now. So let's do 5x squared minus 5 over 1 minus x. So I strongly recommend, if you're playing along at home here, that you try this on your own, because if you're trying to learn this, you'll get more out of it if you're struggling with this and you actually attempt it before I show you the explanation. So consider pausing here and trying, and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, so in this case, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out 5 from the top. And then I noticed that I can actually factor the top a little bit more. So this is going to be now 5 times x minus 1, x plus 1, all of this over 1 minus x. And now I have that x minus 1 minus x type dichotomy that I'm looking for. So I'm going to factor a negative out of the bottom. So this becomes, let's see. So I'm going to factor out a -1. So now that flips the order in the denominator. So now my x minus 1s will drop out. So I've got 5 times x plus 1 over -1. So this will simplify to -5 times x plus 1. Okay, so let's move on to something with slightly harder factoring. So in this case, I've got x squared minus 9 over 27 minus x cubed. I think this is a really great moment just to see how well you remember how to factor the denominator. So consider pausing here and trying, and then hit play when you're ready. So in this case, so I'm going to factor the top, x plus 3, x minus 3, and then in the denominator, so the 27 comes first, so this is going to be 3 minus x, the number comes first, and then this will be 3 squared plus 3x plus x squared. Okay, and so now, between the x minus 3 and the 3 minus x, that's where we're going to have to use this multiplicative property of -1. Now you can take a negative out of either the top or the bottom. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a -1 out of the top. And so when you take a -1 out of the top, what that does is you just apply that to the one term that you want. So I've taken -1 out here, I've put it at the front, and I flipped the order here. And so now, let's see, so I've got 9 plus 3x plus x squared. So now I can cancel out these 3 minus x's, and I'm going to be left with -1 times x plus 3. I like writing the x squared first, so I'm going to write x squared plus 3x plus 9. And that's as good as that gets. So I don't have to have a -1 here if I don't want to. I could just call this a negative. I could also distribute it inside, but I'm just going to leave it as is for now. Okay, and for this last problem, so for this one, I need to use grouping, and I can tell because I've got 4 terms and no GCF. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out, let's just work on the top for a second. So this is going to be, if I factor out x squared from the first 2 terms, that's going to leave me with x minus 9. And then I'll factor out 2 out of the second 2 terms, which will again leave me with x minus 9. And so then this is going to get factored x squared plus 2 times x minus 9. Okay, so I'm going to write that up here, x squared plus 2, x minus 9, and then this will be 9 minus x, 9 plus x. Okay, and so now I can see that I have the x minus 9, 9 minus x, so I need to factor a negative out somewhere. I'm just going to factor a negative out on top. Doesn't matter where you want to do it, so now I can flip the order. And now I can cancel out these 9 minus x's. So this is going to be negative 1 x squared plus 2 over 9 plus x. Okay, and so that brings us to the end of that one. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like button or subscribing to the channel. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.